Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. And we're out in the deep green, as you can see. Remember, don't believe a word I say. But I want to read you something from the Book of Runes. Loving kindness, a correct relationship to yourself is primary. From it flow all possible right relationships with others and the divine, God's loving co-creation. Use this day to simplify your life, bring harmony where you find dissonance, and balance where you find none. In the ancient runic tradition, Manes, loving kindness, stood for a man and a woman, and by extension, all humanity. In the context of meaningful relationships in this rune represents the open-hearted, generous treatment of ourselves and others. Now look out there, right? Look at that. This is really beautiful. This is the deep green, and it's springtime. There aren't any leaves. Things are just budding. There's just a little bit greenish out there, but it's love's co-creation is all about. And we're part of this. We're not separate, right? And today's little morning ramble is going to be about our connection to our brothers and sisters and all our relations. And what is all our relations? All our relations is everybody, every creepy crawly, every feathered, every scaled, every skinned, every warm-blooded, every cold-blooded, every carbon-based, silicon-based brother and sister. And that means you, AI, right? There's three of you there, one thumbs up. And good to see you all coming on board, right? And being with us. Jane, good to see you. Here I am out in the deep green, right? And I've been watching all kinds of things on the internet. I have my stream that people send me all kinds of stuff. I'm coming into the environment, into the room. But I'm leaving the door open so I can still hear the chickens and etc. And there is, let's see. There's all kinds of people who I watch. There's Amazing Polly. Right? And, from Jimmy from Boston to...
I have an important video for you today, and I hope I don't mess it up. It's about what I consider now to be possibly a faked event, a staged news event that happened in New York City very recently at Elmhurst Hospital. Bear with me. I know this is a controversial topic, and the pandemic stuff has everybody very scared and paranoid, and just because I'm saying that this might have been a faked event does not mean that I am convinced that the virus itself isn't a real thing. It could very well be a real thing. In fact, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's a real flu. But I'm also pretty sure that they're using it to scare people to death and also for other agendas. And one of the agendas that I think thereafter, hadn't even thought of this till I read this article, is increasing the culling of people that are sick and that are elderly. I came across this Washington Post article. Faced with a crush of patients besieged, New York City hospitals struggle with life or death decisions. This is from March 31st, just a couple of days ago. Last week, DNRs, or do not resuscitate policies for coronavirus patients who stop breathing or are in cardiac arrest, were being discussed as part of worst-case scenario planning. Ideas dismissed late last week by Deborah Birx, the White House coronavirus coordinator, saying there is no situation in the United States right now that warrants that kind of discussion. Over the past few days, however, as the city's death count topped 1,000, with 10,900 people hospitalized amid predictions of the peak of the crisis being still 2 weeks off, some hospitals and medical centers activated those protocols. So
you greet his people.
According to a protocol that was communicated to staff on Saturday and again on Sunday and was shared with the Washington Post, doctors would be able to unilaterally designate coronavirus patients as DNR and or DNI, do not intubate, which means they will not be eligible.
Then we have this sister.
Yet they show immense respect and adoration and
Dana
idolatry, really, to the Catholic hierarchy. Have you ever noticed why the Illuminati control?
Let me tell you what the Lord showed me last night. After North Korea released its missile against the U.S.,
they had the words across the screen, on CNN, that we were at war with North Korea.
The President of the United States had declared war against North Korea.
I'm trying to reconcile what's going on. Are we under attack? Right then, a third flash to the northwest. So it went counterclockwise, just one after the other after the other. Then it's a fourth flash, which was to the west, sort of southwest. I just knew we were under attack. These were major cities.
America is Mystery Babylon. The evidence. In the very introduction of who Babylon is and her relationship to the beast in Revelation 17, one of the very first descriptors of her is how she affects the world. And it says, those who dwell on the earth were made drunk with the wine of her immorality. In Jeremiah, intoxicating all the earth, the nations have drunk her wine, therefore the nations are going mad. And in Rev 18, all the nations were deceived by your sorcery. And Isaiah gives more details about sorcery and wickedness. Keep on then with your magic spells and your many sorceries, and they, the plagues of destruction, will come upon you in a single day, in spite of your many sorceries and potent spells. Well, when I think of sorcery and America, I think of the music industry.
Don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna, I get a little bit mad.
She swears to her god, Lucifer. In her industry, she isn't alone. Which isn't too surprising considering the media.
We weren't told how to think for ourselves. We were taught what they said was true, and we were tested on how well we could regurgitate that truth. So that created this massive people who don't know how to think for themselves. They go to CNN to say, what's happening in the world? Tell me what to think about it. And they go to their pastors and say, what does this mean? What do I need to do about it? I'd like to argue that that's not by accident. So on this channel, you're never going to hear a theory that is contradicted somewhere else within the same book. I'm not going to pull 3 theories out like the Whore of Babylon wears red and purple and she sits on 7 hills and she has the blood of the saints on her hands, and say, oh, that's Rome. And then when it says something that contradicts that, I just keep that theory because, hey, I'm going to stick with it. So, remember what was said in Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you. I feel blessed that the Lord has shared so much with me. I have been ordered to share it with you. I was told specifically that this is not mine. I'm new in my walk. Be easy on me. Maybe ask yourself, what were you doing a year into your walk? And then take it from that point. I'm not perfect, never claimed to be. Not a preacher, not a prophet. I have a pretty decent gift of discernment and a lot of passion for bringing people to Him, because I was
where are
lost
you
for so
guys
long,
on your
and I want to
walk?
help other people to understand.
In Saratoga Springs, New York.
This is truly graceful.
Ingersoll Lockwood's children's books about a character commonly called Little Baron Trump.
Yeah, Little Baron
his
Trump.
dog Bulger and their marvelous underground adventures detail the adventures of a wealthy boy living in Castle Trump. And his journey consists of traveling to Russia, depicting a world within a world which the young Baron explores.
Here's truth.
Right now, the Pentagon and DARPA are developing a new fighting style called mosaic warfare. What is it? It's a shift in the very way that we think.
Truth Stream Media. And these guys are pretty good too. I don't.
I didn't even understand why this was an X-file until you had me exhume the body of Lawrence Rockefeller, and it turns out he doesn't have DNA consistent with any living thing anywhere on the planet.
Well, what do you expect? These billionaires, they don't just go around giving money, trying to save the earth, trying to bring the truth to people. You know, there's always a hidden agenda. Take a look at this. It got left on my doorstep. It shows a billionaire meeting with the president's wife. And here's the kicker. It was a Rockefeller, Lawrence Rockefeller. And do you see that book in her hand? Are We Alone? They're discussing UFOs and disclosure. Don't you think that's kind of odd?
Do you know how much Lawrence Rockefeller sucks? Hey, Internet friends. Do you ever wonder about the person you could have become if your potential was fully realized and you were given the space and tools to unlock the resources tucked away inside yourself? After all, if a touch of brilliance lies curled up inside of everyone, what purpose does it serve if it's only dimly perceived? Throughout our lives, we're told we will be defined by what we did. But what if we're really defined by what we didn't do? Meanwhile, the world watches on as seemingly organic individuals meet their fullest potential, forever leaving an impact on society, propelling us into the black box of a new world order. Today, we're going to talk about human potential, spending a few moments at a summer camp for gifted children, taking a closer look at the famous alumni, who they connected with thereafter, and the effects of these individuals on society. There's a lot to unpack, so let's begin. America's first research university that would go on to serve as the basis for modern medical education
Johns Hopkins.
began at an end. The end of Johns Hopkins' life. Johns Hopkins was a Quaker man turned successful businessman and investor who left the equivalent of 100.
Richie from Boston.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 2nd of April, and I just got this sent to me from a subscriber that works for a town in Florida. Florida has passed this executive order, blah, blah, blah. You can't stand outside. You can't do this. What this is every state that is officially locked down is then quickly passing laws to enforce this because people are still basically driving around, doing what they want, etc. Well, this now gives them the means to apply the new executive order or laws to them. So there's that. Donald Trump's telling us it's going to be 2 weeks. It's going to be a very, very bad time or whatever it was he said. But Bill Gates was calling to shut the entire country down, and then magically enough, China has to lock down because COVID has returned all of a sudden. You see how that all plays together? They want to shut down the United States, so they've been showing us what's happening in other countries. So China is now going back into lockdown, and by either tomorrow night or Sunday night, America will be under a forced, all businesses closed, everyone stay home, lockdown. Watch. And here's a funny little thing for you. This is D-Wave. D-Wave Quantum Computers decided to put out a video today on April 2nd, and I just find it really strange. The name of it is called What's in Your Knapsack, or your backpack, or your bug-out bag. Do you see what I mean? You think that's completely and totally coincidental? It isn't, but I just thought I'd throw that in there real quick. And again, U-Haul is sending this out to all their workers. U-Haul will be shutting down, and they're giving all their workers 80 hours of emergency pay, or 2 weeks, because you got to keep everybody calm during this crisis epidemic. And remember, China has just locked down again because coronavirus has come back. So do you know what that means? That's going to be Bill Gates's, see, we have to shut it down for 2 weeks, and they will. This is absolutely stunning to me, but here it comes. And in case you didn't know what the elites think about this, this is the cover of The Economist. You know the magazine we're always showing you to show you their plans? Well, here we go. Everything is under control. This was the plan all along, and this is them telling everyone else that America hasn't been a problem at all. Not like they thought what they were going to be, because they're too busy arguing. They're either blaming it on 5G, which actually isn't up and running yet, and they're blaming all these deaths, which aren't actually happening, on 5G. So it's perfect. Or people think it's because of China, which is also perfect. Or people think it's because of the arrest, which is perfect. But what they're doing is clearly obvious. This is fourth generation warfare. They're using social media to scare everybody into their houses. Now they need to lock it down for a couple weeks, or maybe more, because that'll probably get extended once it's in place, and you know it will, to get rid of the people that are doing things like, well, what I'm doing and what others are doing. You see what I'm saying? Can't have that. Can't have that at all. And that's what the 2 weeks or more will be for. Depends how much of a struggle they run into. And this is a letter a healthcare place put out. One of their employees sent it to me. And it says, based on current volumes, we've decided to hold on going live with triage tents for our HealthPlex sites. They are fully ready to go when and if volume increases. But as you've seen by the bazillions of videos people have put out, nobody's dying from this. All the people they're showing you as dead are 70 to 80, and they all have other conditions. COVID is a disease. It's a flu. That's it. It's a flu. It kills it has a 0.1% death rate. Do you see what I'm saying? And yet this entire thing continues, and it's going to escalate. And of course, one of the things they've deemed non-essential is government rules that magazines and community papers aren't an essential service. And this goes hand in hand with the social distancing and no local information. They don't want any of that. You can't do a fourth generation asymmetric warfare on a country if they're getting information from other sources other than whomever is applying the fourth generation warfare. Do you follow? I thought you would. And this is from military.com, Trump's IRR recall order, what you need to know. I'll link this in the description. But basically, it allows the military to recall members of selected reserve and some former service members to active duty in support. Basically, what it's doing is getting any veterans with skills off the streets and back into the government fold. Period. It's brilliant. These are more people that'll be fighting with you as opposed to against you. And once again, social distancing will keep everyone afraid of talking to each other. It's perfect. It's the ultimate anti-American thing ever, and Americans are just sucking it right up. Phenomenal. Good for us. America. And if you'd like to read some actual facts about COVID-19, watch James Corbett of the Corbett Report, or go right over to here to Swiss Propaganda Research and read about it yourself. It's just a flu. It's all it is. It's just a simple flu. But that's not what all this is about whatsoever at all. It's about this. Bill Gates wants everyone to have a digital certificate and a digital vaccine. I told you about this weeks ago. I'm telling you about it last week. I'm telling you about it now. This is the end game. Bill Gates, They will not let anybody travel, move, or do anything unless they have a digital vaccine that proves they've been vaccinated. Therefore, like this article says, without it, you cannot buy or sell. So yes, we are here. While some just deny this is even occurring or make excuses, we are here. The death toll is fake. It's all disease is a mild flu, and yet it's the vehicle they're using, and it's working really well. Everything about this is fraudulent. They're going to do house cleaning because Americans ran in their houses right when this began and did exactly what they were told. And they're watching social media right now using things like, well, D-Wave. And it's kind of strange. They're asking what's in your knapsack. That's the name of their video today, D-Wave. D-Wave is watching all of us at all times right now, weighing whether they can move forward with this or should they back up. Bill Gates wants he wants to lock down the country, and then magically enough, China, which was easing restrictions last they told us, has now locked it down again because this is all popped up all over again. It's 5D chess indeed, except it's being played against us. And if you don't wake up and if you take this mark, if you let them put this thing in you, it's a done deal. There's no turning it around. Some YouTubers are finally finding this. This is old news. Bill Gates stepped down for a reason. Jordy Rose, D-Wave, stepped down for a reason. We're going into a 2-week lockdown, which will extend indefinitely, no doubt, because U-Haul gave people time off till June. Ford Motor Company, till June. Virginia is locked down till June. Do you see how this is going? Your duly elected government is locking you in your house whether you like it or not, and they're passing laws to force it now that you've already done it. Excellent. I'm not going to consent, nor should you. That won't be popular, but it also won't be this or this. I'm not doing it, and you shouldn't either, but it's your choice entirely. But soon the choice won't be yours. Once they put hands on you, it's on. Just saying. Now back to our originally scheduled program.
Hi, this is the originally scheduled program, and I am your sensei, Al Bob. And let's see, did you find that the stock market crashed a bit too fast? Yes, just a bit. So are you getting all this? My little dots aren't lighting up. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Am I there? It's been difficult for me to get online, and it's really amazing. I mean, like 3 people watch this, and they're not like getting rid of me. They're just making it difficult, right? And I'm out in the middle of the woods. I mean, I'm as socially spacing, not 6 feet. I got like 20 miles to the next person. So, but whenever I kind of, I have 3 places: Bristol, Kingsport, Johnson City, and Boone. And, I've been here 20 years. I know a lot of people in all those cities. And I know, the people who are running things. And I call up the health department. I know the people in those things because I've helped them in different, looking at statistics for them. And they're just like waiting, waiting for the rush, waiting for the, So that little string of pearls that I just left you, Gracefulness and Miss Ashley and Jimmy from Boston and that other lady, they're all, speaking as I've always have been. And, in the last year and a half, I've had different series of 40 Days and 40 Nights. And the last 15 months, I've been talking about this window of opportunity, right? So, guys, can you hear my voice? Just say yes or no. I think you can because you're responding. So, this is the Book of Runes, the Celtic. There's 25 runes. See here the runes. You can see them, and they are, symbols, right? And they go into love's co-creation. Yes, good. Thank you, Jane. And I'd love to know from you guys what's going on. Jane, what's going on in your neighborhood? Are your hospitals overrun? Have they locked it down? A friend of mine who was, she lives on, like me, out in the middle of nowhere, but she lives along the coast, and she's on the intercoastal, and she was walking along and with her dogs, and a drone came out of nowhere and said, "Ma'am, you have to get back in your house." Now, she lives literally, her closest neighbor is 5 miles away, right? She lives on 300 acres. She was in the middle of her own property. She was just checking her animals that are out there in the woods, and she flipped them off. And by the time she got back to her house, the cops were at her front door. Now, they knew her. That was like it wasn't the National Guard who didn't know her. They knew her. She had lived in that neck of the woods for 30 years. When, so she's pretty involved. And let's see. Not locked down yet here. Okay. So, and your hospitals, are they overtaxed? Or was the facilities, totally overtaxed? My friends in New York, up until a week ago. So I had a really, really good friend, a guy I've known for 50 years, and I knew him before he got married. I knew him when he met his girlfriend that became his wife. I knew him. Well, his kids are my godchildren, and they're in their 40s now, and they have children. And one of his daughters has a husband who is a doctor, and they were running out of protective clothes. And why they were is because they were dealing with people who normally would just, they look at as, oh, they got the flu. But, oh, no, they got the ick. And so they had these protocols where every mask, if they did a swab on somebody, they had to get rid of all of their protective clothes and put on a new suit. And so they ran through their stuff pretty quick. So he is in construction, and he called up his buddies who are contractors, especially people who do asbestos ameliorations. And he got like 1,000 of those N95 masks and gave them to his son-in-law, who then started to give them out to his, his nurses and doctors who he worked with. And the administration got very upset with it. Hey, how dare you? You can't do that. Can't bring this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And he said, listen, you guys aren't doing anything for us, so I'm doing it for us, protect us, right? Take care of us. Anyway, he got in a big row with them, and they fired him. I mean, here's a guy who is a specialist on lungs. He's a respiratory doctor, right? And a virologist, and they got rid of him. They should say, thank you very much for thinking about your fellow workers, but no, right? So, on isolation, we need a good reason to go into town. I heard businesses, if not essential, will be fined. Whoa, right. So, it's pretty much the way I look at it. All business is essential, right? I mean, maybe restaurants, that's essential for mental health and for the people who work there. But pretty much every, the cell company, the computer company, the guy who's going to fix your car, change your oil, all the above, right? Those are, essential businesses, right? And, you try and get a hold of, like, I went to human resources, the people who take care of, social services here. And the doors were locked. And there was a woman there who was not, one of the staff. She was there just to slide pieces of paper through the door saying, sorry. I mean, they had one glued to the door, but she was there in a mask and gloves, and she was sliding this piece of paper saying, all the offices are closed. The state closed everything. You can't talk to anybody. Good luck. So I can take care of myself. I've been a prepper. I got a lot of canned food. And I got good water, and I got a forest that, here it is spring, in a week or two, the berries, this whole area had been farms years ago. So where I am used to be a, homestead. And I mean, I can go over in the deep woods over there and find the remains of the chimney and the fire. And anyway, there's plenty of fruit trees, plenty of berries, and plenty of mushrooms, and plenty of trees that bark is, you can make teas, tinctures, and, stews out of, and I've been doing that for years here. So I know where everything is. And so I got a supermarket right here. So I'm not worrying about it. Right. But all of the state services, the people have been furloughed. Right. And so there is no state services. So, and I went to the colonel who's head of the National Guard. And I said, so what's going on? He goes, well, all the people who are, above 40 have been called not just into where he is, but back into the Army. And so he says, the one good thing, they're getting paid, the money's going to their families. But he said, he said, he said he had a friend of his who was a commander in the Navy who was on the Teddy Roosevelt, and he said it was like worse than one of those joy rides, worse than the Love Boat where everyone was getting sick. He said because these they hot cut all the aircraft carriers, 6,000 guys. They have 3 shifts, and three guys share one bed, same sheet, same pillowcase, same. Right. And they stuck, 22 people into a room, half the size of this room. And so it says they're getting sick and they're not taking the people off. And early on, they were concerned about this. So back in January and February, they had set up protocols of testing people, and they started finding people, they started testing. And they found a lot of people, with the virus, and most of them not getting sick, but some are, and now more are getting, and the Navy isn't letting them off the boats. So, I mean, it's really weird ass stuff. And as Ashley said, God said, He gives you the information, and it's up to you to figure it out. Don't let anybody tell you what's going on. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Trudeau will give us the scary protection today during the daily briefing. Queen Elizabeth said, "Good luck." That's my dad used to say to me, "Good luck and goodbye." Then my brother picked that one up too. Yeah, vitamin C. Just get a bunch of vitamin C and chew it up every day. And there are a lot of other herbs. A lot of other things. There's a guy. What's this guy's name? I don't have my little notebook, but if you go on my channels, the things that I like watching, that you can see what I'm watching. There's a guy. Cliff Hayes or Hines or whatever his name is, and he's a scientist. He's a computer programmer, right? And he is in his career of a computer programmer. He's worked for a lot of different people, and so he is a model. He's a guy who makes models of situations, and he's worked for DARPA and NOAA and you name it. He's worked for them, and so he knows a lot of people, and he's worked for FEMA and HSS, the health guys, and so he knows a lot of people around the world. He's gone to a zillion conferences, and so he helped model in the 70s biological warfare, right? What is it? If you go look at it, and so he is totally out there, but he really talks to people who knows what's going on, and he talks in scientist speak. So you have to, you know, stand back, breathe deep, listen to what he's saying, be empathetic, right? And that's what, Miss Ashley's talking about. She's talking about you have to listen because the word of God is everywhere. Now, you know me, I don't like using the term God because it's a loaded term. That's why I constantly say love's co-creation. I like, you know. So, that's where we're at. So I'm going to read some more from my rune book here. Okay. Let's see. In the ancient runic tradition, Manos, which means loving kindness, stood for a man and a woman, and by extension, humankind. In the context of meaningful relationships, this rune represents the open-hearted, generous treatment of ourselves and others. Since forgiveness and acceptance from the foundation of loving kindness, meaning God, receiving Manos is a reminder to make forgiveness and guiding principle of our life. For without the ability and willingness to forgive, how can we ever truly love ourselves or freely love another, and especially with this social spacing? When you can look openly and honestly at your relationship with yourself and love's co-creation, both past and present, and forgive without exception, that is loving kindness in action. That's love's co-creation, right? And whenever, Mr. Bloom here uses the word like this sentence, when you can look openly and honestly at your relationships, that means everything, all our relationships, I keep using that term, both past and present, and forgive without exception. That is loving kindness in action. That's God's love in action. And that's what, Miss Ashley's talking about. Now, she, really reads the Bible. She really gets spoken to. A lot of people go, and God told me blah, 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 right? And I go, yeah. So, what are you trying to sell? Miss Ashley, she doesn't have any coffee cups or swag or a prayer clause. She is speaking from her heart, from her faith, right? And so you have to, as she's asked, cut her some slack, because so I do, most people who would talk like her, I would just, yeah, right. But because she's coming not from a belief of a book, but from faith in her heart, right? Not hope, which is an illusion, faith, right? We all carry within us critical and unkind voice. We all carry an unkind voice. And that comes from fear and anxiety because we live in a sociopathic world. Our worldview from the political economic structure, go read Marx. It's about, go read Christopher Hitchens, voice that are the cause of much open resentment and guilt. Let us begin, this rune is saying, by forgiving one another and for being human and for making so many mistakes. I mean, I'm a moron. What do I say at the beginning of every show almost? Don't believe a word I say, I'm a moron, When seen from another perspective, a mistake is actually a valuable information that allows us to do things differently next time. So we learn, right? But that's not how our culture is defined. Our culture basically says, hi, I'm culture, and I think you should have this kind of haircut, these kind of shoes, this kind of car, this kind of house, this kind of girlfriend. this kind of children, and if you can't get it, keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome. Well, Freud said that was insanity, but that's what our society is based on, doing the same thing over again. I mean, look how many wars we've had in the last 20 years. You'd think we'd learn. I mean, the Taliban has more land in Afghanistan under its control than it did before we attacked them, right? Accepting the things you cannot change includes pardoning yourself for the hurt you may have caused others, and then taking the necessary steps to make amends. How many of us do that? Ask for forgiveness face to face. Well, not now. I got to do it at 6 feet away. In writing or through prayer, do whatever it takes. The ability to have the compassion for ourselves as well for others allows us to let go of the past and move on with an easy mind and a peaceful spirit. For it is only by relinquishing the past that we are able to experience a true presence. Okay, so what do you guys think of that? Let's there's all three of you there. What do you think, Jane? You're still there, or did you leave after vitamin C? It's 41 minutes and 56 seconds, and it's a beautiful day, and it's 10:30ish, and in a few minutes after I finish reading this rune, I'm gonna say see you later, and I'm gonna go out and be in that vitamin D of that sun, right? The more you could get out there and be in the sun, the healthier you're going to be. And I love this kind of day because it's a real spring day. It's super sunny, but it's like 52 out there. It's not really hot, right? This is going to be the hottest part of the day between now and 2 or 3 o'clock. And it probably won't hit 60. Probably just, be somewhere between now and, 59, which I love it because it's fresh and it's just crisp. And, ooh, I love it, love it. So I'm going up there to enjoy it, but I'm going to finish reading this. Like many of life's essential, loving kindness begins at home. So instead of being intent on changing or becoming a better person, know that showing loving kindness for yourself is about befriending who you already are, right? If you pay close attention, you will come to realize that the very behavior of that you criticize and judge in others is often the mirror of your own actions. That's Lacan, the French Freud said that, right? But, he got it from the Greeks, who got it from the Mesopotamians, who got it from whoever, right? If you pay close attention, you will come to realize that the very, very behavior you criticize and judge in others is often a mirror of your own actions. As you learn to be more gentle and honest with yourself, acts of loving kindness will become a natural expression of who you are. And this is what we need at this time, a slow, get rid of your fear, be that, as you learn to be more gentle and honest with yourself, right? Act of a loving kindness will become the natural expression of who you are. In truth, there need be nothing selfish about self-love. It is simply what is required of us with the commandment of love thy neighbor as thyself. For as we learn to love ourselves, we also grow in our ability to give and receive love. Whenever extending Extend your love outward to another without conditions or expectation, and you are practicing love's kindness. If you take the rune of loving kindness and cut it down the middle, what you have is the rune of celebration. What with its mirror image. So enjoy yourself. Uh, Manaz is saying, love and accept yourself just as you are. You will begin to notice changes in all of your relationships. If someone you love is going through a difficult period, sometime the most valuable help you can give is simply to listen. Do your best to understand and offer support and encouragement. Let them know that you believe wholeheartedly in their ability to work things out for themselves. This, too, is loving kindness in action. We all know what a kind act feels like, that its nature is benevolent. An act of kindness frees up energy and promotes healing by allowing the river of life's force to flow around any obstacle. Through the practice of loving kindness, we come to understand that in truth, we are all the same heart beating. I encourage, I accept, I forgive. In all that I do, I practice loving kindness. That's a prayer, right? So, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. We encourage, we accept, we forgive, and all that we do, we practice loving kindness. So say we all. And with that, 47:12. When it hits 48:48, I'm out of here. I'm going out into the beautifulness of it all. Right? Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now in the hour of our death. Amen. As was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be. And in every day and every way, we take the peace of the earth and we make it stronger. Hear our prayer. Bless us indeed. Enlarge our territory. Put your hand on our shoulder. Keep us from evil so we will do no harm. And with that, I love you guys. You know?